Hey guys, it's Terrence with the Black Republican Theory. Thank you all for tuning in. I wanted to make a quick video today about pretty much all that has been going on this summer concerning being a Black Republican, which is quite interesting given that the title of this channel is the Black Republican Theory. So before I get into it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. You know, it's quite a time to be a Black Republican. Over the past 2 years, I'd say 3 years, since 2020, there's been like a really big identity crisis within this country and within the traditional, I guess, categories of which people are supposed to fit in. And because of that, people are a little bit thrown off by something that is out of the ordinary for them. And so, case in point, when you have absolute rock stars like Tim Scott or Byron Donalds, who are Republican legislators who happen to be Black men, and they share in the history of being Americans and being Americans who have ancestors that suffered through slavery, and they have more conservative values. I believe based on, for Tim Scott at least, his values are like based on his faith and everything, sort of along the same lines as mine. And then for Byron Donalds, is more of like a personal liberty philosophy type. Same with me, right? When you have people who don't fit within those traditional norms and categories of, oh, you're supposed to be a registered Democrat and vote blue no matter who, it kind of upends the standard thought speak that everyone else has, that philosophy that they have, that category that they want you to fit into. And, you know, people are like, why don't you fit into the box that I put you into? And so that's what you have on the Democratic side. And then when you look at the other side, the Republican side, because, oh yeah, I got heat for everybody, got that smoke for everybody. When you look at the Republican side and they say dumb shit like what Ron DeSantis and Miguel Diaz, his education secretary, guys, put forward, that, oh, well, we put in there into the history curriculum or social studies curriculum that the slaves had a personal benefit, and that while I understand to an extent of what the message that they're trying to convey, because they have a Black scholar named Dr. William Allen, who he is a history and philosopher, political scientist by trade, which just so happens to be my background as well. He's a political scientist by trade and conservative, who says, hey, look, the entire history of slavery was not that bad in terms of his interpretation of it. And what he is saying is that, okay, you have Black people who were able to, make money during their enslavement, and from that money that they made, some purchased their own freedom, others purchased other individuals and enslaved other individuals, because slavery at its root is an economic system where you did not have to pay for the labor of individuals, but you definitely wanted to continue to subjugate those same individuals in order to keep things going. And so when you have individuals who, the formerly enslaved persons who were forced to learn a skill, they were not able to use that skill for their own personal benefit, as Dr. Allen says, and how the education panel that rewrote the curriculum has said, no, they were not able to use those skills for their personal benefit. Why? Because all of the money that they made went immediately to their quote-unquote slave master or owner. And so, therefore, quote-unquote owner and legalized slave master. And so, therefore, the word personal to that sentence is wrong. It's an oxymoron. It's the same thing of saying about how the enslaved slaves had to get permission in order to get married. Yeah, you can get married by jumping a broom, but that marriage did not have to be recognized. Equally so, neither did your parentage of a child have to be recognized if you were enslaved. And so using the words personal benefit serves to diminish the true brutality of what slavery was. It serves to diminish the overall brutality of how bad slavery was. There's a book called Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, and she talks about, basically how when you had individuals you had people who were pregnant, women who were pregnant, I'm sorry, and I was trying to say slave women who were pregnant because I hate using the word slave, but you had slave women who were pregnant, and if they were going to get whipped as a form of discipline or just for the slave master or any other white person to take out their anger, at the time, a hole was dug in order to fit the belly of that pregnant woman. Well, guess what? There's no way that, you could say that, and while they recognized that she was a mother, she had no property rights and she had no parentage rights over the very baby that she was having. And you can't even get any more personal than a mother to child relationship, because they're literally attached. So you mean to tell me that there is a quote-unquote personal benefit to slavery, and that's just false altogether? But see, where the Republican Party gets things wrong, and before I get into this, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, because I know I'm going to get in a lot of heat for this because I am a Republican official. Where the Republican Party gets things wrong is that when you have black people who happen to be Republicans who say, hey, no, that's not accurately, that's not accurate, that this policy affects us in a certain way. You have people, mostly white Republicans, who try to turn around, or, even people who didn't even, their ancestors are not historically in this country, like, Southeast Asians or a lot of Central Americans who are new Americans, welcome to America, everything else, but they try to tell us that our history is not as deep into this country, or that it's not as severe, or it's not as bad, and all these other things. And I just want to dispute that, because when black people actually stand up and they say, hey, look, no, this is wrong, you can't say things like this. Like, case in point, Byron Donalds and Tim Scott, they said that the Florida policy and the words personal benefit should not be added to that. Why? Because overall, it serves to diminish the value, or it serves to diminish the overall brutality of what slavery was and how the people were subjugated. And I also find it interesting that in the entire curriculum, which I read all 216 pages of it, but in the entire curriculum, it's specifically regarding the African American section of it, there's no mention of the pro-slavery movement. There, like, Senator, well, there is a brief mention of Senator Charles Sumner, but there's no overall, like, catalyst to talk about the founding framers like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. I think also James Madison, who said, hey, look, that they were pro-slavery. Where's the history of that? Why aren't we talking about those individuals, the pro-slavery individuals? Yet we try to talk solely about the abolitionists, because we're too afraid to, tell the true history of what this country is and was. What this country is and was. And so, again, the problem that the Republican Party has is that they keep trying to alienate so many black Republicans. And, you know, as a young man who is a father, well, I'm a Christian first, American father, you know, I was raised to be a patriot and be happy and proud of this country. But I also recognize the crap that this country, you know, does and how it operates. As a business owner, as somebody who, you know, truly puts their all into trying to, you know, move my family forward and this country forward, but just playing my small role, it is really hard when I try to rely on the values of an overall political party and voting my values, and that political party that most aligns with those values. It's hard to then say, okay, well, you know what, let's come over and bring other people to the party, when you have dumbasses like Ron DeSantis getting out there and saying things like, oh, well, you know, we're fighting the woke agenda. Well, Mr. Milquetoast, stiff-neck, Ron DeSantis, bobblehead, really, is bobblehead. How do you keep, you know, bobblehead but stiff-neck at the same time? This man, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And it's just a real... There's a reason why so many people are speaking out against that dude. There's a reason. Now, for 2024, I'm Team Nikki Haley all the way. Team Nikki Haley all the way. But, you know, you have people who are so much on this DeSantis train, trying to boost this guy up who is a freaking robot. You know, I think of him like the Manchurian Candidate. You know, he reminds me, he's like the Republican version of Westmore. Like, they make these people in a lab somewhere, like the ultimate perfect candidate person, you know, hard charging person, who just, you know, unlike Westmore, this guy has no charisma at all. And it's like, dude, you are, the only thing that you're fighting is the culture war, and you're going to lose by solely relying on culture war. Dude, say something else. You're literally a 40-something-year-old governor of a very diverse state that has been overall economically successful. Why not run on that? Why not run on the bread and butter issues that people are really concerned about? You also happen to be the only political candidate presidential candidate who has a military background, major presidential candidate with a military background. Why not run on that? You're too busy focused on the things that black people are doing versus trying to bring more black people into the fold, because here's the secret that Republicans don't even think about. They don't even think about it. And George Bush laid this strategy out for the entire world to see. Republicans, like true, pure to the party Republicans, the average Republican does not want to vote for a candidate that they believe is racist, nor vote for a candidate that others believe to be racist. Now, you look at Donald Trump. Oh, well, where does your theory test out with Donald Trump? When Donald Trump was running, people had decades to look at this man and say, well, we understand what makes the Don tick. We understand what makes this man go. They did not see him overall as like a racist. Yeah, you had people who would say that, but, you know, people like overall was looking at him like, yeah, he's just a rich dude from New York. And he had the history of, you know, reaching out to different type of communities. He also had his he had his stuff in New York. He had the Central Park 5, and he had his housing projects, etc., etc. But like overall, people looked at this man and was like, okay, he's just a rich, agitated white dude from New York, right? And then by the time it came to, you know, people don't really pay attention to elections until like 2 weeks before the election, and then they're like, yo, who am I going to vote for? And by then, you already had the grab him by the you-know-what tapes going around. And so people were looking at him like, yeah, you know, he's just this sexist dude or whatever. And America decided to vote for him on the basis of that, as opposed to Hillary and everything that, you know, she had put this country through. So what I'm trying to say is that when you have Ron DeSantis running on this anti-woke agenda, and it appears to solely be targeted towards black people, it makes him look bad when you then put out a personal benefit curriculum, which also could just be rectified by saying allowed to engage in forms of capitalism, limited forms of capitalism, or something like that, to clarify the true stance and brutality of it all. But anyways, guys, those are just my 2-3 cents. This is a Black Republican theory. I gotta go back out to work. I'm a business owner, gotta get this money. Thanks. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check you later.